Welcome to the Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Vantage Fit, the all-in-one AI-powered corporate wellness platform developed by Vantage Circle.
Amidst the bustling and demanding personal and professional lives we navigate daily, we tend to neglect one prime thing, the self, quote unquote. Today, we wanted to touch upon self-care, a crucial topic often taking a backseat in our fast-paced lives. Hello and welcome to the Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast, the podcast dedicated to nurturing the health and well-being of the corporate world. I am your host Parishmita with our guest speaker Shweta Gautam, a wellness blogger and content marketer. And together we'll explore today an exciting topic, self-care in the workplace. So let's embark on the journey to create a thriving and harmonious work-life balance for each and every employee. Hi Shweta, welcome to our show.
Hi Parishmita, thank you for having me.
So, is self-care only about pampering your skin and hair, or it's more than that? So Shweta, what according to you is the definition of self-care and how can one embrace it into their routine?
You know, with the latest Instagram trends and all the rosy side of being the it girl or the lucky girl syndrome, all of these titles have really, they have really deviated the real meaning of self-care. Self-care is not limited to having a luxurious spa or, just having a hair care day. It is so much more than that. And as far as the definition is concerned, I believe that self-care is a very subjective topic, because what could be self-care for me would not be the same for you or would not be the same for someone else. For example, just cuddling up in your bed and reading your favorite book could be self-care for somebody, and for someone else it could be traveling to their favorite place. For some, self-care would be talking to their friends, having a good laugh, but for others it would be just nothing else, it's just taking a nap. So the meaning of self-care is very different and it should not be imposed on people. Of course, the latest trends on the internet, especially Instagram, they have really forced people to think that having those pastel shades of wallpaper or all of those stuff only means self-care, but no, it is so much more than that, and it is a very personalized thing. You cannot you cannot really limit yourself to the ways you take care of yourself. This is what I believe personally.
Yeah, absolutely. It is not just limited to what you have said, like being aesthetic on the Instagram, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, self-care is what you do to restore and increase your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. While self-care often involves things you do in your free time, there are many ways to fit this in our day-to-day life as well, right? So, amid deadlines, meetings, and responsibilities, how can employees prioritize self-care in the fast-paced and demanding work environment?
I am a remote worker. I've never been in a conventional work environment. But having said that, because I am a content creator in the wellness space and I work with corporate wellness businesses, so one thing that I am very sure about is that as much as the onus is on the employee to incorporate these self-care activities, the responsibility also lies with the leaders, the HRs or the employers, because the employees at the end of the day, they have to fulfill their responsibilities in the workplace, whatever it is that they are assigned, whatever the things that they're supposed to do. But along with it, it is very important for the HRs, for the leaders, for the employers to give them a free hand and to let them take that liberty of actually doing something for themselves and not just being about, fulfilling their target for the day.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I believe in because, for example, let's say you set aside an hour for your employees to probably have something that they would love to do. Something like, having an informal informal lunch outside the office, or scheduling painting sessions, the gardening sessions, whatever it is that appeals to the employees, right? Because like we said before, self-care is very personal, so you cannot impose one activity to the entire workforce in your office and say this is what you have to do today. Some people might not even find it interesting at all. They might even resent it. So I would say that for employees to incorporate self-care, it is very important for the employers to understand what are the expectations that their employees have, so that they can align their corporate wellness programs or their wellness services according to what it is that their employees want and not what they want to offer.
Certainly. Yes, we should consider self-care as a regular part of our routine. But as we are talking about employees and employers and corporate wellness programs, I would like to ask you the next question. So can employees incorporate practical self-care strategies into their daily routine? So suggest some tactical self-care strategies that employees can integrate into their daily work life, I would say daily routines while at work.
Okay, so a human holistic wellness, it has 8 different categories. There's physical, mental, emotional, nutritional, social, intellectual, financial, and environmental wellness. These are the 8 aspects of holistic wellness for an individual. So if you see from every single category of these 8 different types of wellness, employers have a huge variety in front of them for incorporating these wellness strategies. Yes. Right. Let's talk about physical wellness. So when it comes to physical wellness, you can introduce standing desks in your offices. There could be those pressure balls for employers to just have some fun in between their lunch or during their work hours. Similarly, when it comes to your mental health, it is very important to have those conversations at your workplace now. But for a person to open up to somebody in their workforce, it is very important to develop that trust. And we all know, sometimes it is not always a possibility for an employee and an employer to have that kind of bond where they can go ahead and, be completely open to their employer about their mental health situation. So in those cases, probably having a mental health professional at your workplace, regular counseling sessions might help, right? When it comes to nutritional wellness, so September 2022, I was in the LinkedIn office. We were there for the creators meet, and there's one thing that took my attention. They have this, food space. It's like a big cubicle for people, for their workforce. And from the perspective of nutritional wellness, what I liked in their workplace was that the employers or the people there, they could create their own meals. So, and it was all healthy snackings, it was all healthy, nutritious meals, nothing, no junk food, nothing like that. Either there were cooks who were cooking the meals, right on the spot, or there were people who had these stalls, and those stalls, they had fruits, vegetables, salads for people to create their own nutritional meals or however they want. So that is something that really caught my attention. And similarly, there are very different aspects of, like I said, 8 different categories of holistic wellness. You have 8 different opportunities to create and to deliver wellness to your employees, because gone are the days when employees were just about healthcare or health insurance, right? Today, employee wellness is not limited to those 2 things. It has gone very much beyond those measures, and people are looking for solutions that are more holistic, solutions that are more, complete within themselves, so that it is not just limited to those usual health benefits as most companies or most businesses prey upon, but it's more about satisfying your employees and understanding their needs today. So there are a lot of opportunities, obviously, but some of these are like the ones that I mentioned. And spiritual wellness, for example, when we talk about spiritual wellness, a lot of people think that it is all about religious stuff and this and that. But religion and spirituality, there's a very fine line between it. And for people to be more open, or to even consider spiritual wellness as part of their existence, it is again important for employers to educate, to aware their workforce, to again probably bring in people who are regular practitioners of this stuff, who can give regular workshops, who can aware your employees around these subjects. So these are some ways that I believe, it can be a helpful situation for the employers to create that kind of environment for their employees.
Thank you, Shweta, for putting out that wonderful example, what LinkedIn did. I think it's like a trendsetter, and we should really, change our perspectives towards what we eat and how we live our life, and we can include that as a part of our self-care routine.
Yeah.
So coming to the next question, I would like to, point out one statistics, like we spend roughly 1/3 of our lives at work. So shelving self-care for later won't just cut it anymore. And we are seeing the result of putting self-care off as like burnout problem. Like burnout has become a growing problem because of that. So we all know that employees and managers are crucial in promoting positive work culture.
Yeah.
I specifically want to ask what role employers and managers play in promoting a workplace culture of self-care and well-being.
Okay, so going with the statistics, so there was this trends report by Global Wellness Institute at the beginning of this year, and it said that globally there are 70% of the workforce is at the brink of burnout. They are completely, thrown away by it. And out of this 70%, there are 38% of workforce who do not wish their jobs on their worst enemy. So they're that much tired and given up of the situation. But we cannot, it's like you cannot burden the leaders or the HRs or the employers with this particular responsibility for their employees. Yes, it is a part of their job profile. It is something that they have to do. It is something that they should do. But they cannot pour from an empty cup, right? Like they say, right, you cannot pour from an empty vessel. So it is very important for these employers and for these HRs to be content with themselves first, before they go ahead and preach those self-care practices to their employees. So as much as employee healthcare is an important issue, employer self-care is also an important thing to consider. So when employers or HRs are creating their corporate wellness programs, it is important for them to to consider themselves as a part of the organization and to churn out those activities for themselves as well. Because as a leader, you have to lead people by example. And you cannot lead people just with, your words or with just preachings. It is important to practice what you ask people to do, especially in workforce, because you're a leader, you're an employer, your employees are looking up to you. They are coming to you for their problems. They seek you, they see you as the solution person. So it is important for HRs and for employers to be content with themselves, to be satisfied with what they're doing. So as employers and as leaders, when you are creating all those corporate wellness programs, the first thing I would say is everything that you are providing to your employees, take that into consideration for yourself as well. Whether that's workshops, whether that's out of office hours, or whether that is say conducting those awareness activities, or bringing on special people, bringing on mentors outside of the company, and to guide your employees. Whatever activities that you're carrying out for your employees, take that into consideration for yourself as well. Just because you're a leader, that does not mean you have to be worn out all the time, because as much as burnout is affecting employees, it is taking a toll on the health of the employers as well. So you cannot burden them alone with all the responsibilities. And in the workforce, it is very important for employers, again, to understand what it is that their employers want, and then provide them with those solutions, instead of believing what it is, what employers are thinking that they want. For example, if I'm an employee at a company, for me, it is important to, I would, there was this talk recently about the four day work week.
Yeah.
There was so much, debate and discussion around this topic. So for example, for me, I am happy with the 4-day work week because I get 3 days off at my home, something like that, right? That would be a self-care expectation for me, right, as an employee. But as an employer, what if you believe that no, 5 days are enough? You have to come to the office for 5 days and 2 days are enough for you to take that leave. So it is very important to build that kind of communication with your employees, to talk to them, to build that personal connection with your employees. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that one single leader or one single HR have to do it for the entire workforce. Obviously, probably, you can, according to the departments, divide people and have 4 or 5 people under one leader, and they can, create groups and talk to each other and really understand what are their expectations from the, workforce. How do they want the employers or the organization to support them? Again, not just with healthcare or health insurance, but in a holistic manner. So that is, yeah.
Or maybe a collective action.
Yes.
So, does practicing self-care positively impact employees' productivity, engagement, and overall job satisfaction?
Yes, absolutely. For example, presenteeism is a very, it is a very ignored yet an important aspect of workplace wellness. So while absenteeism is something, the employee is absent, they're not here, so you can make out, okay, they're not here, thus the work would not be done. But what about presenteeism? It is a very important aspect of the whole workplace wellness scenario, when the employee is present physically but mentally they're absent. They are in their own world, they're thinking about something else. There are 100 different things going in their mind, and all of this impacts their productivity. All of this impacts how they do their work, how they do with the pace at which they do their work. All of these things impact it. So it is important that, whether it's in their daily schedule or in their weekly schedule, it is important that the employees take out some time for themselves, for their families, or to do things that make them happy. Like I said, self-care is personal. Do what it is that makes you happy. If sleeping is something that you crave the most, then please go ahead and have that proper sleep, because lack of sleep is another important reason why employees are so much burned out. There's financial stress, then they have their older parents to take care of. For example, recently I came across this report where a daughter gave up her job to become a full-time caretaker for her parents, and she's being paid $600 per month, something like that. I read something along this line. So this is a simple example of what are the responsibilities that whether it is Gen Z or the millennials, what it is that we are going through as adults, because elder healthcare, child care, or all of these are different aspects of employees' life that they might not be willing to share with you very easily. So again, the onus comes on the employers to just be with them, to get on their informal side, and to make them comfortable enough to share these aspects of their life, so that the communication between an employer and employee is not limited to getting that report done or hitting that target or making it to the meetings. It has to go beyond all of those things, and only where the communication between these two parties are strong enough, then you will understand the individual needs of self-care for every employee, and probably then the wellness plans that the companies are working on, they will have it in a more holistic direction, so that there is something for everyone, if nothing for no one. So yeah,
Absolutely, I agree with you. And I think like self-care is changing. It's becoming clear that weaving moments of self-care throughout our day is more beneficial than just grinding a hard day and leaving the you time for later. Because
yeah,
like high employee productivity, deep engagement, and wavering job satisfaction creates a harmonious work environment where success thrives and goals are exceeded, right?
yes.
So, moving on, each workplace is unique. So, it's important to tailor these practices to fit organization's specific need and culture, considering the organizational value, belief, and environment. So, are there any specific self care practices or techniques that can be incorporated into corporate wellness plan that has proven effective for employees in maintaining a work life balance?
Okay, like I said, one example would be the 4-day work week. So there was a lot of debate around this when the year began. Many CEOs and the Fortune 50 company founders, they were debating about whether it's the right thing to do or not. So I think it's a lot more about the hit and trial kind of thing. For example, when you are as a company, as an organization, when you are developing your corporate wellness programs, I believe it is important to consider your employees' needs. So probably a survey to understand what are the expectations of your employees. Probably a one-on-one action between, again, the employer and the employee could be a good opportunity for your organization to understand what kind of support your employers or employees are expecting from you. And again, touching on those 8 different categories of holistic wellness, it is important. Probably there could be something like this. Let's say there are 8 different categories, so you touch upon 2 categories in a week. Probably you can dedicate one day to one different aspect of holistic wellness, and have activities, mentors into your workplace, and have educational newsletters written to your sent to your employees, have in-person workshops or online workshops. Now with the technology, there's so many things that you can do, right? So it all narrows down to the expectations of your employees, and to understand what it is that they are expecting from you, to understand what it is that they need, and to not assume, most importantly, to not assume, but to understand how employees want you to take care of them. For example, the last client that I worked with, ironically, I worked with them, and we wrote something around self-care in the workplace. I came across this article where they shared that elder care, taking care of your old parents, it is a very huge concern for the millennials. It is a major concern for millennials to have that kind of support from their organizations, from their companies, where they can take care of their parents, or they can take care of their children. And I am not just talking about the financial aspect of it. The mental stress is so, again, that leads to burnout, that leads to overwhelming people, and again, all of this circles back to affecting their productivity at the workforce, and obviously taking a toll on their health as well. So when it comes to building corporate wellness plans, it all comes down to adhering to the needs of your employees and not assuming that this is what they might be happy with. So the key is to actually take those initiate those conversations with your employees. Now, probably one-on-one would not be the right thing to do if you have a large workforce. But let's say having an online survey or educational newsletters or workshops. There are so many different ways in which you can do that today. So yeah.
Can I add one more ways to it, to your answer?
Yes.
Yes,
Encouraging
the culture of self-care in the workplace.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So coming to the end of the session, I would like you to suggest some valuable tips to our listeners, and also please tell us where they can find you.
I'm a remote worker. I work with corporate wellness brands globally. So as a remote worker or someone who has the liberty to work from anywhere, I would say that it is very important for you to understand yourself and to know yourself, to actually practice self-care, because like I said, it is very easy to wave away and to get involved on those Instagram aesthetics, or to just to feel like this is something that you need as well. But actually self-care is very subjective, it's very different, and it's very personal. You cannot assume that I would like this. For example, a personal example would be, I used to think that having a pretty workspace would make me would have my productivity, it would help me. But there are days when I don't even get out of my bed and I work from my laptop. And surprisingly, those are the days when I'm at the best of my creativity as a writer. So it is, again, don't assume, try to learn about yourself. It is very important to know yourself and to learn about yourself. And the only way to do that is to, again, experiment with different things, have fun with it, play around yourself, and, see what works for you, and stick to it, as simple as that. And as far as, finding me is concerned, on Instagram, you guys can find me at Written By Shweta. And LinkedIn, I create content on LinkedIn around blogging, and it's Shweta Gautam on LinkedIn as well. And I have a wellness blog. So I am a blogger. So I have a wellness blog. Again, it's called writtenbyshweta.com. So you can go on the web and search for Written by Shweta, and you will have all the information about me that you would like to know.
Definitely. Shweta, thank you for coming to our show and for giving us your wonderful and valuable time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast. Please do subscribe to Vantage Fit Corporate Wellness Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and our YouTube channel for new episodes.